Today's topic is about how to better communicate with your clients and the aspect that I hear a lot of people use negative words and phrases with their clients, and I've done it many times in the past too, and we want to kind of completely eliminate that if we can, or as much as possible. So I'm going to go through a strategy with you guys, which I think will work and it'll be really easy to implement, and you guys can jump right in and start using this, tomorrow. So the first place I was really kind of exposed to this topic, I'd say, in a really profound way was in college. And one of my teachers told me that it's just so much better when you're giving a speech. If you make a little mistake, you don't address the mistake. You don't tell people, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Just glide right over it. And I think that's kind of the main point behind all the things we're going to talk about today. If you bring light to kind of a negative, it really only emphasizes it and just accentuates it. So you don't want to bring light to negatives ever. If you make a little mistake and you're making a speech, just run right past it, act like it never happened, because odds are people in the audience are just, doing their own thing. They probably never even noticed, okay? I guarantee you. All right? So the point is we want to eliminate or try to minimize, at least as much as possible, any kind of negative communication we have with our clients, okay? Because it's never good to communicate anything negative, really. I mean, why? Why do you want to do that? It's a negative. It's something bad, okay? So let's just talk about a few negatives, and, I'll let you guys kind of fill in the gaps with, coming up with more of your own. But just here's a few examples of being negative with your clients. Like a price hike would be one, right? That's a very negative thing to be communicating with your clients, of course, right? So saying no to them, of course, if somebody says, do you have a, Maserati, you're going to have to say no. But for the most part, you don't have to say no to anything, to questions like, will you do this type of service, whatever. You can answer those things differently. Okay, we're going to go into that. So stay away from the no's. Sorry is a really bad one. This is another negative that you just want to stay away from. I don't know. Okay, these are all examples of negatives you can just do away with, okay? So I think the best way to implement this plan is just to really sit down one evening for 15 minutes and just kind of consciously eliminate these words from your vocabulary, especially when you're speaking to your clients, okay? And it's not that hard, all right? So let's go through our examples again. Price hikes, for example. You don't need to call people up or anything or have a big long conversation about your price hikes. I think that's the wrong way to go. I really do. And for example, when was the last time you got a call from like your your internet provider, and they're like, hey, John, we're going to raise your prices? It just doesn't happen. It's because they know what they're doing, okay? What they do is they put that information on the invoices, so they're covered. They've told you, technically on paper, they've told you, and then they just raise the rates, okay? So you really want to minimize that communication. It exists, maybe half in the fine print or something, it exists, but you're minimizing it absolutely to the minimum, okay? And if anybody asks you about it, you just refer them back to that invoice. They're going to be fine with it. I guarantee you 90% are just going to say, oh, yeah, it's there. You're right, All right, so that's minimizing the bad news of a price hike. That's how I'd handle that. So let's jump into the other examples we talked about. Just saying no. I just really believe, even when the answer is actually no, like, somebody could ask you if you shoot weddings. Maybe the answer is no, right? Well, don't say no. What's wrong with, instead of saying no to that question, maybe calling up a wedding photographer one afternoon when you have some time off and saying, look, I really like your stuff. Maybe we can meet up for coffee. I'd love to refer you to my clients who ask for wedding photographers, because sometimes they ask me if I do that and I don't want to say no to them, right? So instead of saying no, if somebody asks you if you do weddings, you just say, I can refer you to somebody great. Okay, how much better does that sound? It's a really positive answer, and you're still kind of in that realm of being the guy who knows everything about photography. That's what you want. I used to watch Sal Sincata, and he says you want to be in the role of trusted advisor, and I agree with that. So somebody asks you about weddings, even if you don't do weddings, you want to have an answer for them, and I think that's a really good way to go about it. And on the flip side of this, if you get lucky and refer, say, one photographer, say 2 weddings in a year, you really think that guy's not going to throw you some business? Because people are asking him if he shoots interiors every once in a while too. Even if he has a friend, if you refer somebody like thousands of dollars in business, I'm sure it's going to come, things come back to you, okay? You don't help people out and it just never comes back. The world doesn't work like that, okay? So anyway, just think about that, and just think about questions you get asked from clients, and I think you'll really agree with me in terms of it's just better never to say no, okay? So sorry, this is another big one, and I used to do this one a lot too. So you want to just completely eliminate this word, okay? Just like I'm saying, sit down consciously, eliminate this word from your vocabulary. And a few months back, I got a call from my friend Amir, and even it was like I had been thinking about all this, I'm telling you already, but unbeknownst to me, I actually said, sorry, I missed your call on my voicemail, my voice message. And he's right. He said, why do you say sorry in there? It's terrible, and I changed it immediately, okay? So you don't want to be having, what are you sorry about, You're not sorry. That's too negative, okay? So the example I came up with here, maybe you're emailing one of your clients the download link to download your images for a shoot, and you accidentally sent them a bad download link, so they come back to you and said, this download link doesn't work. The first thing you shouldn't type sorry is the first thing. You should just say something like, thanks for your patience with this, okay? How much better does that sound? It's a positive, okay? Thanks so much for your patience with this, okay? And then go on and just give them the good download link, okay? Don't say sorry. There's no need. It's just people aren't waiting for sorries. I don't believe that. And even if they are, that's kind of their thing, okay? That's you don't want to have to deal with that, okay? And our last example was the I don't knows, okay? So again, just never say it. If a client asks you if you know anybody who shoots Matterport, because they obviously know you don't, there's no reason to say I don't know. Again, get out there, give somebody a call, maybe have coffee with them or whatever. Tell them, I'd love to refer somebody. Maybe the business will come back. Maybe it won't. Either way, I think it's a much, much smoother and slicker way to handle things. Saying, you get that question, do you know anybody who does Matterport? I definitely do. I can recommend a guy. Okay. Sounds so much better than I don't know. So just keep in mind, guys, we're wrapping up here, but these are just a few examples. And I want you guys to just be kind of thinking, as you're going through the next few months or whatever, just what do you say that's negative? And just try and get rid of that, okay? The ideas, thoughts, or communications you have that are negative in nature, just try and swap those around and make them positive. It's usually not that hard at all. All right, everyone, that'll do it for today's blog. I thank you for tuning in, and I hope this helps you out. I really think it's a better way to communicate in general, and let me know how it goes, all right? See you for the next one. All right, bye-bye.